All right, if you've ever had a cat curl up on your lap, you know that sound. It's so calming, right? So comforting. But you know what? For centuries, that sound has been a total mystery to scientists. So today we're diving into the surprising, incredible science behind one of the most familiar and baffling sounds in the animal kingdom, the cat's purr. Now really, think about that for a second. How on earth does this tiny 10-pound ball of fluff make a sound that's deeper than some people's voices? It doesn't add up, does it? This isn't just some cute little thing cats do, it's a real biological puzzle that's had scientists scratching their heads for a long time. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to start with the basic physics. Because honestly, from a scientific point of view, a cat's purr is just, well, it's weird. This is what's so mind-blowing. See, in nature, there's a pretty simple rule. Small things make high-pitched sounds, and big things make low-pitched sounds, right? Well, a cat's purr just throws that rule right out the window. It's like a tiny little violin suddenly making the deep, booming sound of a massive double bass. It shouldn't be possible. So for like over 100 years, scientists thought they had a pretty simple answer. They figured it all came down to this really neat dividing line in the cat family.
Okay, so here's the classic theory, and this goes way back to the 1800s. It all boiled down to one tiny part of a cat's body, a bone in the throat called the hyoid. And the idea was simple. You had your smaller cats, house cats, cheetahs, cougars, and they have this rigid, bony hyoid. That was supposed to be what let them purr. But then you have the big cats, the roaring ones, like lions and tigers. Their hyoid is a flexible ligament instead. So the rules seemed crystal clear. You could either roar or you could purr. You couldn't do both.
It's a really neat and tidy explanation, right? Case closed. Well, not quite. As scientists started looking closer, they realized the story was way more complicated than that. And this is where the cheetah enters the story. See, as the biggest of the so-called purring cats, its purr gave scientists the perfect opportunity to really dig in and figure out the nitty-gritty mechanics of how this sound is actually made. So, what do scientists even mean when they say a true purr? It's not just any old rumble. The really strict scientific definition is a sound that's continuous. It's made when the cat is breathing in and when it's breathing out, without any breaks. That constant, unbroken cycle, that's the gold standard. And check this out. This waveform of a cheetah's purr shows it perfectly. See these bigger, wider parts of the wave? That's the sound on the exhale, the out-breath. And these shorter parts? That's the inhale. But look, there's no break in between. It's just one constant, seamless vibration. That's a true purr. But even though it's continuous, it's not exactly the same the whole time. When you analyze the sound, you can see that when a cheetah breathes out, the purr gets a little louder and a little higher in pitch. Then, when it breathes in, it gets quieter and lower. Now, this little detail is super important because it shows us the purr is this dynamic sound that's totally linked to the mechanics of breathing. And studying this incredible continuous sound led scientists to a brand new, totally groundbreaking theory. And this one, it basically challenges everything we thought we knew about how cats make this rumble. Okay, so for about 50 years, the leading idea was that purring was an active thing. Scientists thought the cat's brain had to constantly send these little signals to the voice box muscles, telling them to twitch back and forth like 30 times a second. I mean, that sounds exhausting, right? But get this, a study from 2023 just flipped that whole idea on its head. Researchers found something absolutely amazing. It turns out cats have these special, dense little pads of tissue right inside their vocal cords. These pads add extra weight, and that extra weight lets the vocal cords vibrate at that super low frequency all on their own, passively. No constant nagging from the brain required. So how does that even work? Well, the best way to think about it is something you've definitely heard in people, vocal fry. You know that low, creaky sound at the end of a sentence? The new theory is that a cat's purr is a lot like that. It's a self-sustaining vibration. The air flows past, these little pads start vibrating, and poof, you get a purr. No extra effort needed. It's a passive, unbelievably efficient system. So, with this new discovery, that old debate about big cats gets even more interesting. I mean, if it's not just about the hyoid bone anymore, then what does that mean for lions and tigers? Can they really purr? Well, the truth is the jury is still very much out on that one. While big cats can make these purr-like rumbles, a lot of scientists just call them gurgling growls. And the key difference is a big one. They almost always only make the sound on the exhale.
And since they don't have that signature in and out cycle, they just don't meet the strict scientific definition of a true purr. The debate is for sure going to continue.
All right, so we've spent a lot of time on the incredible how of the purr. But that leaves one last super fascinating question. Why do they do it? And let me tell you, the answer is way more complicated than just because they're happy.
You know, we always think of purring when a cat is super content, curled up on a lap. But vets will tell you something interesting. Cats also purr when they're in pain or when they're scared at the clinic. So it seems like purring is actually this powerful self-soothing tool. It's a way for the cat to calm itself down when things get tough.
But here's where it gets truly wild. The benefits of that sound might not just be for the cat. In fact, they might actually extend to us.
This is incredible. Multiple studies have actually shown that cat owners tend to have lower blood pressure and even a lower risk of heart attacks. Now, obviously, just having a furry friend around is a big part of that, but some researchers actually think the specific low frequency of the purr itself could have a real, therapeutic, calming effect on our own bodies. How cool is that?
When you get right down to it, the story of the purr just goes to show you that even the most familiar, everyday things can be hiding these incredible layers of complexity. It's such a great reminder to stay curious, and it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing secrets are hiding in plain sight right there in the animals we share our homes with every single day?